start anything. I'm just gonna say, what if Naruto was an outsider? Still not canceled. I just can't really be bothered to read right now, and I figured I'd just do this because people really liked one of my first series. What if Issei was Kaneki? But instead of what if Issei was Kaneki, I decided what if he was a ghoul in general, not just a specific character, making him different and whatnot. Now, a little info on Issei's appearance is his hair's not spiky, it's rather long and straight. Other than that, it's not gonna be like anything else much different. Though, if some people do want to give me any ideas of what Issei's Kagune would be like, it could be anything, honestly. Like, it could be a pair of wings, similar to Ayato's, but more dragon-like. Or it could be something else completely different. But, yeah. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and begin the series, I guess. We'll begin this what if as there would be a young boy, but this boy was rather strange. This boy's eyes would be different from a normal human being's eyes. The sclera of his eyes, where red veins would protrude. Both of this boy's eyes were like this. Another noticeable feature was that the boy had blood all over his face. In his hand, he would be holding a deformed piece of meat, though it wouldn't be very hard to tell that this piece of meat came from a human body. Across from the boy was another brown-haired boy. He had spiky brown hair and the same black and red eyes. These two boys would be Issei Hyodo and Basara Hyodo. These two boys were a species known as ghouls, an extinct species, that is. They're being exterminated and hunted down by humans, and also the interference of supernatural factions. These two boys have been alone since as far as they could remember. While they are aware that they had parents, they never actually met them. These two boys were brothers, and all they had were each other. Now, Basara and Issei would both have been eating, rather viciously, like that of an animal, a predator. As both of them would have finished, Basara would stand as he would say, "Little brother." Now, Basara and Issei were about the age of 15. 15 for Issei and 17 for Basara. Basara was older by 2 years, and these two were just beginning in a school called Kuo Academy. The two boys have been trying to live life like normal human beings for the past, well, almost all of their lives. They came to accept the fact that they had to eat humans, but they also really enjoyed being able to not be hunted or hurt by others. Issei would nod at his brother, as he would stand up and go off to the washroom to wipe off the blood from his face, after having his eyes revert back to a brown color. As Issei would enter the bathroom, he would tie his hair up, similar to that of Eren Yeager. I'll just say that, simple as that. As Issei would tie his hair up, he would wipe the blood off his face and wash it all off after having brushed his teeth. Issei would then walk out from the bathroom, as he would be dressed in a school uniform that would feature a gray and black blazer with the symbol for Kuo Academy on the breast area on the right. His blazer would be open, revealing a white dress shirt with a red tie, along with a pair of gray pants and black dress shoes. He would also have a watch on his left wrist. As Issei would come back out of the bathroom, his hair still tied up, he would see his brother dressed in the same clothing as him, though his was a bit bigger as Basara was taller. Both Basara and Issei would leave their home, walking to Kuo Academy with their bags slung over their shoulders. As they would make their way to Kuo Academy, they would observe all of the people around them. Though not like normal people would observe others. They were observing people to find out who would be easiest to kill and eat for their next meal. But in the end, they decided against it, as it would be strange for students to go missing, and it would be noticeable. As soon as Basara would look to his younger brother as he would say, "Alright, Issei, I'll see you." Issei would nod. Issei's personality is he's rather cold and quiet. He's extremely reserved from others. The only person he really talks to is his brother. But even then, he talks very little. Basara would make his way off to his class, as Issei would do the same. Issei was a senior, or not a senior, but a sophomore, or second year, while his brother was a fourth year, if that even is a thing. I'm sorry about that if it's not. Well, anyhow. Throughout the entire day, Issei would just not really pay attention in class, though he made it seem like he was by just staring off at the board and at the teacher. Basara, rather studious, would pay attention and answer questions to keep up public appearance. After class, two boys would approach Issei. Issei would look at the two, as one would be bald, though you could tell that it was still recently growing back. The other would have long black hair down to his chin, and glasses that would be shining in the light. These two boys were... Oh, bro, I'm so sick of this ad. Anyhow, the two boys would be known as Matsuda and Morohama, the perverted duo of Kuo Academy. As the two boys approached Issei, Issei would look at them completely now. He had looked at them and immediately lost interest, as the two boys were rather thin and had no sort of special features whatsoever. They were rather bland. The girls in the class would look on in worry towards Issei, hoping that the two perverts would not corrupt the new kid. Matsuda, the one with glasses, would say, "Hey, new kid, do you want to be friends with us? We can teach you the ways of culture. We can become kings of all women at the school if you join us." Issei would look at the two before looking away, not even showing that he acknowledged them. This would make Motohama and Matsuda angry, but they wouldn't show it. Motohama would put his hand on Issei's shoulder and say, "Hey, come on. No need to be so cold. I'm sure we'll be great friends." Issei would look back at the two with a glare, as the two would immediately back away from him. Before anything could escalate, a voice could be heard. "Hey, little brother, let's go. We've got to go eat lunch." All looked over towards the door, where Basara would be standing. Basara would stand at a height of 6'1", while Issei would stand at a height at about 5'10". Basara would have a charming smile on his face, making all of the second-year girls in Issei's class blush, while the boys would all immediately glare at Basara and be jealous of him, cursing him under their breath. Issei would stand, putting his bag over his shoulder, and walk towards the door. As they both left, the class immediately broke into whispers, especially the girls, as their comments would only consist of, "Hey, did you see that guy? He was a total prince. He could match Kiba." As another girl would snicker and say, "No way, Kiba's so much better looking." As the class would go into an argument about this, while Issei and Basara would continue walking down the school hall. Issei and Basara would find themselves sitting under a tree in front of a rather old school building. As the two boys would be sitting there, watching them from a window would be a red-haired beauty with rather desirable features from any normal male, or for any normal male, and any well, enough about that. Her long red hair would be flowing slightly as she stood next to the window, looking down at the two boys eating lunch, though it was only to keep up appearance. In the end, both Issei and Basara weren't actually eating anything. As Issei would have a small smile on his face, behind the woman with red hair would be heard, "Ara ara. It would look like you're looking at the two new kids. Is that right, Rios? Trying to find a boyfriend or two?" Rios would look back at the voice, as it would reveal a raven-haired girl with purple eyes. Well, actually, her eyes were purple. Her hair would be tied up with an orange ribbon. She'd be wearing the female Kuo Academy uniform. Rios would sigh and look back at the two boys to see that they were gone. Rios would then say, No, these two just interest me. I don't sense any magical presence, yet their presence itself seems so interesting. A giggle could be heard. Scene change. We see Issei and Basara after school walking home, as they would be walking through a park. A strange flapping noise could be heard, as both of them would stop in their tracks. Before a cloud of dust would be seen in front of them. After the dust cleared, a small spear, a rather long but still small spear, would be impaled into the ground. But the spear was different from what you would normally see from a spear. It was made out of light. Looking up, Basara and Issei would see a woman standing there with a rather revealing outfit that a normal BDSM loving woman would wear. But what was strange is she would have black wings that would look like that of a crow behind her. She would be holding another light spear, as she would be looking down at Basara and Issei with a malicious smirk. She would then say, looks like this'll be easy. You two weaklings won't stand a chance. As she would dive towards Issei, who wasn't prepared, only to be slammed away by Basara. Revealing Basara, Basara's eyes would have turned black and red once again, as protruding from his arm would be a strange, organic type of blade. It would be black with red veins protruding from it, but it would also have a silver glint coming from the bladed area. As the strange woman would look towards Basara with a glare on her face, glaring at Basara, who had just hit her with his kagune. The woman would stand up and dash at Basara this time. As Basara's bladed arm would elongate and stretch as it would flash towards the woman. It would all happen very fast, as once the woman had passed Basara, a huge spurt of blood could be seen as the woman would fall and hit the ground, her wings flopping down. She would be face first on the ground, but what would be different was that the woman would have her head severed from her body, as in Basara's hand he would be holding the head of this woman. Her purple eyes stuck in a expression of shock. As Basara would drop her head, he would look at the body, as he would look at Issei, he would look at his brother as well. They would both nod as they would begin to drag away the severed head and body of the strange woman, only to devour her later on that night. But this would cause a change. When they would have eaten the strange woman, they would feel their power increasing, even though normally they wouldn't feel something like that. As after they had finished eating, both Basara and Issei would be sitting there, rather confused as to what this feeling was, before Issei's right hand would have burst into flames. Not any kind of flame, but blue flames. As Issei would look at Basara, rather shocked, Basara would then feel pain in his arm where his Kagune would normally protrude from, as his arm would begin to turn into a silver armor, but it wouldn't be like a normal arm guard. Where the hand would normally be, it would be a blade. This strange weapon that would protrude from Basara's arm, it would be completely silver with a green gem in the middle of it. This green gem would be glowing. Both Basara and Issei would look at each other shocked. Now, this is where I'll be ending this part of What If Issei Was a Ghoul. I hope you enjoyed, and tell me what you think Issei's Kagune should be. I'm willing to take any idea that I particularly like. I'll see you all next time. Later.